My name is McKenzie and I'm a lecturer in geography here in the School of Geography and Environmental Sciences. I'd just like to start the programme of geotopics this year with a talk on careers from geography and environmental science. Obviously a talk that's really popular among teachers and pupils as it sets the tone really for studying geography in school and at university. If there's any questions that arise as we go through the talk, please keep them for the Q&A, or of course you can make a note of your questions and email me afterwards if you wish. So for the next 30 minutes I'll just go through some of the careers and skills that are very popular from geography degrees. So to set the context then, we have an increasing population obviously across the world, 7 billion people on Earth, and these people are generally living in urban areas. We've seen a massive increase in urban dwellers right across the world. So it's also interesting to look at where people currently live. Are they near coastal areas? A sea level rise were to occur on a rapid scale, where would those people have to locate to? So looking at where people are, how they live, is a crucial element for us as geographers to try and answer. Also water quality. There's a large amount of cost in treating water. Have people got good access to water? How does poor access to water impact on people's health? Pollution, again, very popular in terms of COVID-19. Whenever transport was largely cut as a result of COVID-19, we saw air pollution levels dropping significantly on a very short time scale. Particulate matter and other pollutants in the atmosphere reduced very quickly indeed. Soil loss, again, one of the big things that's happening right across the world in terms of desertification, other features that are happening, impervious surfaces. So whenever those things occur, what does that lead to in terms of floods or in terms of destruction of biodiversity and other plant species? And also then you've got loss of species, we've got deforestation, we've got Amazonian rainforests, wildfires happening across Australia, and global temperature rise with ice sheets melting, sea levels rising, and all these issues happening on a rapid basis. It's on our news, our kids are involved, they're asking questions about the future, and really geography is one of the core subjects for which we can look at all of these things holistically in a systems approach and try and address the future questions, or try to bring up answers to the questions that we're asking of the planet right now. So for us, we're passionate geographers. Every one of you are proponents of geography. You advocate it, you sell it on a daily basis, and as are we at Ulster. We all care passionately about our geography. And our geographers, us, or our pupils or students, are essential to fill in the gaps in the future. So all those issues that I've just outlined, those are issues that really require a geographical mindset to try and answer. So the British Academy again this year identified that graduates in humanities and social sciences, that includes geography, were actually no less employable than STEM graduates. So that's really good news, because there's been a hard sell for STEM, rightly so in some ways, but also the social sciences and arts have often been left behind. But there's clear evidence in this report that the social sciences are no less employable than graduates from STEM. And they find jobs in some of the fastest growing sectors in the UK. So it's also very much about looking at jobs that currently exist, but as you have heard, there's jobs that will exist in the future that we currently don't know exist. So as our society changes, as the problems adapt and as new problems come along, we will need graduates in different jobs, different sectors that will grow very, very rapidly. And those graduates need to be equipped for those sectors as well. The Institute for Fiscal Studies as well looked at the mean lifetime earnings for those over 40, and it was very, very good results for geographers. For males, lifetime earnings were surpassed only by 5 subjects, including economics, law and medicine. For female geography graduates, earnings outperformed those of numerous other things, including biosciences, languages and education. So really good news in terms of earning potential. So it's not just about getting the job, it's actually also about having a rewarding income as well as a result of that, which is a really big part of what a graduate's driven by. Okay, higher education, career services unit again. So you've got physical and geographical sciences. And you can see here that working full-time or part-time in the UK is about 55% roughly. A fairly large sample. Total responses to 3,365 graduates. You see also here that you've got work and study and further study. So again, about 32% of people are in further study or working. Now, not only is the employment interesting here, but also the unemployment rates are very interesting. You can see here that unemployment is only at 4.4%, which is very encouraging for graduates. I'll draw attention to this in a few slides' time. So it's not just the employability of our degree, it's actually the low unemployment rates that come from a geography degree as well. So 44%. Then for geography as well, outcomes 6 months after graduation, you have work in full-time and part-time, again over 56% in graduate jobs. Working and studying and further study, again up around 28%, and very low unemployment at 5% too. So really encouraging figures. Now, what really interested me was whenever I looked at geography against law, to be honest, as an ardent geographer, I expected law to have a higher full-time work percentage than geography. But whenever we looked at this, the HECSU reports identify that geography and physical geography sciences outperform law, biology, chemistry, sports science and physics, which to my mind was really staggering. I was really encouraged by this. So rather than even STEM careers or STEM subjects like physics and chemistry, our geography graduates across the UK are coming out and getting higher employment rates. Now, I'll allude to this slightly later on, but the potential is that our graduates are coming out with such a plethora of skills that they can work in so many different environments, whereas physics or chemistry are maybe more aligned to a specific sector. So that's maybe one of the reasons why our graduate percentages are quite high. Geography is lower than technology, engineering and maths and business, which is fine, that's absolutely grand. But whenever we look at other things like hospitality, leisure, tourism, it was a figure of 61.8. Now, we all know that COVID has had a huge impact on the tourist sector across the world. 61.8 might have been okay in a normal year, but whenever we see COVID-19 hitting and the hotel sector, flights, all of these things decimated by government legislation, it could be that hospitality and everything has a much lower figure for graduates, unfortunately. Whereas geography probably will maintain its figure. It may even slightly rise. So it's almost like looking at geography and geographical sciences as future-proof. It's not a subject to short-term disasters or crises that happen from time to time. So when the volcano in Iceland erupted a number of years ago, geography was still an important career, but tourism in Iceland would have been significantly affected by that. So we can look at all these different things and say that geography is future-proofed. It's relevant to a whole range of different sectors, and our graduates have a very good employment potential as well. Finally, here you can see that the unemployment rates for geographers are very low as well, 5.4, 4.4. Now, they do compare well with law, but if you look at biology there, the unemployment rate is sitting at 6%, so slightly higher, not a big difference. But to look at unemployment rates and find out that geography is only second to sports science in terms of unemployment, that's really good in terms of not only employability, but also avoiding unemployment rates as well. So a very good news story whenever you look at a whole range of data across large samples across the entire UK, which is very encouraging. Then looking at the big players, the multinationals, the Deloitte's, PwC's, the big employers across the globe, they all agreed that the ability to work collaboratively with teams of people from a range of backgrounds and countries was a highly desirable skill for graduates. Now, I am very persuaded to the fact that geography really makes that skill. As we send students out on field trips, as they go out on placements, as they go out away and do a whole range of things that are linked to a geography degree, geography in school, geography at university level, that is precisely what they're bringing to the table. A cultural awareness, a cultural agility, that they can actually look at different countries and backgrounds and peoples and see that everybody can come together and form a stronger whole than any part on its own. Esri, again, the world leader in terms of GIS software. 200 leaders across private and public sector. Top skills were critical thinking, advanced analytical skills, understanding complex data, advanced technology, and understanding socio-economic environments. Now, I would hazard a guess that if you asked people about socio-economic environments, that most of the people that you would poll would all say geography. Geography looks at the impact of deprivation and affluence and social backgrounds on how people form their lives. So whenever we look at place and how things vary across place and time, these are precisely geographic issues. And that's why our students with all of these skills in thinking, collaboration, multidisciplinary approaches and data work, surveys, they all tie into what business leaders and employers are looking for across the globe. NERC as well, the Natural Environment Research Council, looked at gaps for the environmental sector and said that computer modelling, multidisciplinary working, data management, numeracy and skills and translating research into practice were all the skills that were required. So again, the things that our graduates are coming out with, for myself, 15 years in the sector, looking at my research, the thing that has really made me excited by geography is the potential for me to bring geographic tools and spatial thinking to other problems. So if you take diabetes, if we take fuel poverty, if we take food poverty, if we take any number of these issues, geography on its own can't answer the question entirely, but it can pair up, it can partner with other disciplines, and together they can really add an incredible amount of insight into a problem and then bring tools forward that can answer the problem for the future. So personally, I have found that multidisciplinary thinking, collaboration across groups and using the skills for analysis and data work have been critical in terms of making me excited about geography, but also trying to get big problems in society addressed as well. So on the basis of all that, of us looking at geography and saying this is a cracking subject, these are the skills that people need, I thought it would be useful to actually look at our degrees at Ulster and try and identify how what we do leads into employment, leads into graduate careers in geography. So we offer 3 degrees: geography, environmental science and marine. Marine science is coming on board again in 2021. So we are asking for B and 2 Cs, preferably with geography or a STEM related subject. Geography and environmental science have combined options in psychology or education. As geography teachers, you have inspired and challenged your pupils to follow in your footsteps, and they are very keen on studying geography with education in order to become the geography teachers of tomorrow and let you retire. So whenever we look at our students coming in, they are very keen on geography and environmental science alone, but they also like that potential to combine with other subjects like psychology. So that's perfectly fine. The combined approaches are there for geography and environmental science. They will not be there for marine. Marine is just a straight degree programme, no combinations. All of our programmes, geography, environmental and marine, will offer an optional placement year, either in industry or abroad, in Europe or America or Australia. I'll draw attention to that later as well. And finally, our degree programmes in geography and environmental science are accredited by the Institution of Environmental Science. So they meet accredited subject benchmarks and things as well in terms of the QAA. So geography, as we see it, is the study of the earth as a home of people. So a very broad definition. We see people interacting for resources and among natural events. From our point of view at Ulster, geography would tend to be more focused on cultural and social. So we would teach modules on sustainable development, conflict, transnationalism, migration, all those sort of issues in terms of human geography. Now that does not mean that our students do not have physical geography. It doesn't mean that they don't do coasts, they don't look at lakes, they don't look at rivers. They definitely do. But from our point of view, geography at Ulster would be more focused towards the human environment and human geography, whereas environmental science might be slightly more towards the physical geography, the measurement. But certainly geography as it stands allows students to choose modules that favour their interests, so they can specialise in freshwater, they can specialise in coastal environments, but they can also equally specialise then in things like migration or development studies or whatever. So again, looking at all these things, they look at the nature and scale and processes affecting physical features and people among it. So just as one example, you imagine a mine for new minerals as part of a mobile phone manufacturing process. Geography would go along and look at the land cover that's removed. It would look at the soil, it would maybe look at a whole range of the processes. Geography would then look at the people that are employed in the mine. They would look at the leaching and the pollutants that come out from the mine as well. And they would also look at the health and long-term domestic lifestyle, where those people are moved to, are they displaced, how do those people react to that mine in that area. So geography really takes something happening at A and looks at the impact at B and C and that whole system-wide holistic approach. And it's often described as a degree that bridges social sciences and humanities with natural sciences in a coherent way. So it's not just looking at the earth on its own, it's looking at the earth and how it impacts on everything else, or it looks at how people impact on the earth and how these processes and systems are all affected in a holistic form. So for environmental science then as well, you can see here that we teach lots of things about conservation. So they have practical skills looking at plant diversity. They'll go out and do quadrats in the dunes. They'll look at how data sets have changed in terms of beach topography over time. They'll also look at environmental impacts, so they'll go off and do field work, and they'll say if a wind farm was put between Coleraine and Limavady, what has that impact been on the peatland system around the area? Has that had any impact on river flow? Has it had any impact on pollutants or avian ecology? Then also we're looking at things like pollution. Every year we have students doing dissertations on river pollution, on air pollution. So again, very practical hands-on skills about data collection, data analysis, data interpretation, and then solutions to those problems. People have laughed at me recently because I have got very excited and said that geography has too long been concerned with description. Geography still has to describe stuff, but it also has to solve problems. It's no good just saying this has happened. We have to say what has happened, but we also have to then propose solutions to those problems so that society can improve, so that the environment can be protected and conserved as well. So then, nutrient enrichment. Richard Douglas is one of our freshwater scientists at Ulster, and he shared this fact that it's over £150 million a year cost because of nutrient enrichment in freshwater systems across the UK. And our graduates are those people that are really best qualified to go out and describe the problem, identify the problem, get a handle on the scale of the problem, the causes of the problem. But then, as I've just said, is to try and go out and put mitigation measures in place. So that might be legislation, it might be remedial work, it might be putting in a whole range of practical measures or engineering approaches to actually improve the water quality as a result. So again, it's that holistic view, identify the problem and try and solve the problem. Now, one of the fascinating bits of all this too is that we have seen a huge divergence into the role of microbiology and antimicrobial resistance. So you can see obviously then that our graduates are developing very strong links with biology and chemistry. So again, not just looking at geography students in school, looking at biology students, looking at chemistry students and saying, what skills can you bring to environmental problems? Which is an incredibly exciting thing. I did a troll across some school websites recently, and what they had for biology was pure environmental science, pure geography, looking at fish stocks with the Lochs Agency and trying to work out how fish stocks were affected by certain things. Those are principally the skills that we're teaching in environmental science degrees as well. but also looking at mussels and sponges in freshwater systems and trying to work out how a sponge soaks in different bacteria and acts as a meeting ground for bacteria to interact, and by that interaction actually causing resistance to antibiotics and things as well. And we've quite a number of PhDs in that. But that work actually doesn't just sit in environmental science. We're working with the department right next door in biomedical sciences as well. So it's that collaborative approach which takes biology and chemistry, combines them and applies them into a real application area in the environment to try and improve things for the future. And marine science then again, so biology, physical and chemical aspects of coasts and oceans. So students will look at the biology, they'll look at squid, they'll do some dissection work, they'll look at where habitats are in terms of shipwrecks, they look at geology and the sea floor, archaeology, so submerged landscapes, and then ocean engineering as well. And one of the terms, as I'm sure you've heard about, is this blue economy, that the ocean and coast make money. So if you're looking at the CGen turbine in Strangford, that's part of the blue economy, and that will bring in huge amounts of revenue into local areas. Fishing, tourism, all these things are part of that, and it's worth an estimated €566 billion, with around 3.5 million jobs across Europe at the moment. But that is only growing. And in 2021 we're seeing the United Nations Year of the Ocean, or the Decade of the Ocean, sorry. And that just means that marine science, with the plastics in the ocean, with mammals being put off migration routes, of mass-scale trawlers and fishing, and all these different elements that are linked to the blue economy, with that focus just starting in 2021, our degree in marine science is just poised in order to try and get graduates going into the new blue economy, which is going to harvest and attract so many graduates for the future as well across the world. So again, students involved in really cool stuff, citizen science, big data, all those sort of things, with lots of organisations across the world. So just to speed through some of this stuff, we teach them the skills, we give them lots of different applications, and they go out into the field to coastal areas, out into Freedom Corner and Derry, London Derry, designing surveys, asking people questions, interpreting that information, mapping responses, trying to look at spatial variations, very akin to actually what Alistair Hamill has done in Lurgan, that I may refer to later as well. Also getting them out onto boats, at sea, River Bann, Lough Neagh, wherever, and get them to collect stuff, bring it into the lab, write it up and make sense of that information too. So local field work is important, but also overseas, getting them out into Cyprus, looking at the green zone as a political space between Turkey and Greece, looking at the Catalan movement and the movement towards independence in Barcelona, and then getting them to look at Cork forests in the Algarve and Portugal, trying to get them to make sense of river networks, droughts, all these different elements. So it's not just giving them local skills, it's saying look at these problems internationally. You do have the skills, you do have the expertise to actually take your knowledge and your skills and identify these problems and propose solutions on a global scale. And that gives our students incredible confidence after the trips. Again, you see people like AFBI looking for graduates coming out who have good lab work skills, again getting them into the white coats to make them feel like proper scientists, giving them the skills in terms of getting lab equipment set up, dissection of fish stocks, looking at things through microscopes, applying chemicals, all those things, good lab work skills as well. So again, our students are exposed to that. The girl in the middle picture here, Holly, she went into a PGC in geography, but here she is in a lab, perfectly happy, perfectly content, but just gaining skills that will be useful for her in a school, exciting pupils about geography and environmental science, but also developing her own skills, her own scientific thinking for maybe a different career in the future as well. And then GIS and remote sensing, my own area, a huge skill. This is called the geography of the geographical profession. So as satellites go across the world, as boats go across oceans, they're collecting data, and that data is all being fed in from mobile phones, from the COVID tracker, from all those things. It's geographical, it's location based, and every one of our graduates has compulsory GIS education. It's not an option for them. Other modules are optional, so they can actually develop GIS skills. Some of them major on it and become very, very proficient and skilled, and they tend to go straight into a job after graduation. So GIS is a big, big part of what we do. Very few geography jobs, very few environmental jobs will employ without GIS somewhere in the job spec now, and that's just why we make them do it. Some of them say they hate computers. I just tend to smile and say, well, this is still very, very important work to do. And by the end of it, some of them have a light bulb moment and are excited by it. Some of them don't, and that's perfectly fine, but they do often email me a few years in advance and say they're so glad they learned GIS because it opened a door to them into a career. Just very quickly, we offer this industrial placement. Students go out in their third year into a whole range of places across the UK and work for a year, hands-on, practical skills, come back, and they often have a higher degree, and they're offered a job in a number of cases as well, and study abroad as well, somewhere across, and that's alluding back to that skill that multinational corporations are looking for: cultural agility, awareness of different areas, awareness of different societal groups, and they can go anywhere they like. We've had people going off to Tahiti, publishing papers in Nature on the basis of their undergraduate dissertation, which is just phenomenal. So a really popular option again. Now, as a geographer of a certain vintage, I hold Chris Steller in high regard, the hexagonal approach. So that's why I had to put the hexagons in here. We also are transmitting from near the Causeway Coast, so the Giant's Causeway and the hexagons are important here as well. So whenever we look at this here, we're looking at our hard skills and soft skills. This is, I did this infographic really based on looking at a number of different institutions and looking at the key skills that are generally fostered during a geography degree. So yes, we teach hard skills like computing, SPSS, statistics, lab work, all those things, but we're also teaching the softer skills, the things that multinational corporations desire, like communication, teamwork, collaboration, and presentation skills too. But the thing that I also thought was good about the hexagon is that it all pushes together. There's no gaps between any of the skills. We're not just producing graduates with problem solving. We're not just producing people that are good at writing reports. We're producing people that have skills in all of these sectors. And whenever you push this all together, you basically get a solid, harmonious student who is well equipped with a whole range of skills that can go out into a whole range of sectors and answer a whole range of different problems. It's not just one particular skill set for one particular career. It's a whole range of skills for a whole range of problems. And that's really where geography scores most highly in terms of graduation and careers for the future as well. So again, looking at our employability figures, you can see here 66% of our graduates are in professional employment or further study within 6 months. If you remember back, those figures are very high. The figures I showed a few slides back were around 40-odd%. Ours is 66%. So again, here you see graduate jobs, conservation, housing, teaching, science jobs as well, a whole range of different things, but you can see our students are coming out into those jobs as well. A teacher actually asked me in Ballyclare, Julie Richardson had asked me along to Ballyclare Careers in January, and a parent had asked me about my figures, so I went off and got some comparable institutions, and our figures are good. If you look at Southampton and Durham and Leeds, really brilliant institutions. You can see that 79% in Leeds are with unemployment. That is very, very good. But then look, the figure drops to 63 for Southampton, and then it's Durham. Durham's in the top 3 for geography across the UK. So whenever you look at Durham, we are on a par where 55% of our graduates from geography are in employment after 6 months. So that's really good news. We're actually better than Cambridge and Oxford. We don't like to boast too much, but we sort of do. And we'll not mention number 7. But you can see that our figures are good across the UK scale. But overall, for geography, they're good figures. They're good scores. For environmental science, you can see here as well that we're joint first with St Andrews. #1 in the UK for geography or environmental science. That's 75%. So again, our graduates are coming out, getting jobs within 6 months of graduation and going straight into the sector. So really encouraging figures. And I won't dwell on this at all, but these are some of our graduates that have gone. It seems like yesterday, but it's a number of years ago now. Scotty McFarland, working in Lurgan. So again, just tons of jobs for our geography graduates. Our environmental science graduates have come out and gone into a whole range of sectors as well, and marine. So again, sustainable aquaculture, looking at marine mammals, all these different jobs that our graduates have had the skills in place as geographers, as environmental scientists, as marine scientists, and coming out to address a whole range of problems, not just locally, but across the world, which is very exciting. And because it's geography, I had to do a word cloud in the shape of a globe. Forgive me, but I just had to. So you can see here that teachers, yes, students come out as teachers, and that's wonderful, because excited students becoming excited teachers leads to more excited students. So that's all very, very good, and that's what we want to see. But planners, mapping officers, GIS, all those things are popular too. This infographic as well was done by looking at about 20, 30 institutions across the UK and looking at their careers. Certainly for us as well. The list here is not exhaustive. There are a number of main careers here, but there are others. So whenever you look at computing, there's GIS, there's surveying, there's government work. Some of these have been around for a very long time, but other ones, like conservation, maybe like disaster management, maybe like energy and renewable sectors, they're fairly new, but they are expanding very, very quickly indeed. But it gives you an overview of the main careers that come out of a geography degree across the UK. And then also a lovely website called I Am a Geographer. It sounds like Alcoholics Anonymous, so it's probably a Geographers Anonymous equivalent. But I Am a Geographer, I've got a link at the very end of the slides. It's an RGS resource whereby you can look at a whole range of sectors: transport, consultancy, banks, transport, GIS, and you can click on any of these people and find out what they studied at school, how they went into it in a degree, how they got into their current employment, what they love about it, all those things. So it's a really lovely resource for looking at a whole range of careers from geography across the world. And then again, from a Northern Ireland perspective, these are agencies and organisations and schools and a whole range of different employers that have taken on either our students for placement, also maybe in terms of employment. So you can see that there's a vast range of people that are in Northern Ireland who are employing geographically minded people and wider afield, not just Northern Ireland. But the lovely thing is this list is by no means exhaustive. It's a list at a point in time. And over the last 5 years, we've seen new satellite companies opening up in Northern Ireland. We've seen new GIS companies opening up in Northern Ireland. We've seen new sustainable companies opening up. So it's all very, very good news in terms of graduates coming out from geography and getting good jobs, often locally, that pay well and have good earnings from them as well. So just to finish off then, to focus on 3 of our students, Becky Creed. Becky Creed was her name. She seems like she graduated a few weeks ago, but it's too long to mention. She studied marine science. She graduated with first-class honours with industrial placement in 2012. But for her placement, she went off to Tenerife, swam with whales, did the whole marine thing for a year. Wonderful time. Came back. She went off then to Australia with her boyfriend, Matthew McCready. And she did a marine biology work in the Great Barrier Reef, as you do. Matthew had studied geography with German at Ulster, and he was fluent in German. So while he led tour groups every day along the Great Barrier Reef, speaking in German, Becky was out in the sea doing marine biology. They had a wonderful time. They both decided to settle down slightly more. They came back to the UK. Becky did an MSc in coastal management at Portsmouth. Matthew did a GIS Masters in Southampton, I think. They're both married. You can see the name changed to Becky McCready. and she's working as a coastal scientist at Canterbury Council, and Matthew's a GIS officer in one of the local councils as well. You can see Becky's got a ton of stuff against her profile on LinkedIn. She's a rescue diver, she's got a boat licence, just an incredible student who came in and did a brilliant job and got a brilliant career from it as well. Callum, again, a brilliant guy. He graduated with first class honours, placement with us as well. He went straight into PwC as a data analyst, I believe, right away. He wasn't in the job very long whenever he got moved sideways into financial crime, and he's doing exceptionally well. He's fluent in Arabic, so he's got that cultural awareness that the big multinational companies like PwC want, and he's doing very well. A cracking guy who will undoubtedly do very well with PwC. And Jane came to us from Newcastle in second year. She was just a stellar student, absolutely incredible in everything that she did. She went off and did a placement as well with Causeway Coast and Glens, did GIS work. They loved her, and she finished, got a first class honours. She then went straight back into Causeway Council because they pretty much couldn't do without her. She was so good that she is now a fundamental part of the team on Causeway Council running GIS, and she's currently doing her Masters with us as well. So just examples of 3 students who have done exceptionally well going into a diverse range of careers, coastal, consultancy and GIS work as well. So just to conclude, there are loads of resources out there. Going places with the RGS, the Royal Geographic Society. The RGS is just phenomenal in terms of the range of stuff that they have available. You can click on any of these links in the slideshow, and it'll give you tons of resources that you can download, etc. as well. Prospects is very good, as is EMV Careers, and also the I Am a Geographer website as well. So lots of different resources out there that you can use to try and identify careers from geography and environmental science. And just to finish with an infographic of our department, I hope you have found this useful. Sorry if it's been too detailed in places, but if you have questions, please ask them during the Q&A. Also, if you want to email me, if you want new resources, whatever, I'd be very happy to get in touch with you and share anything that I can with you as well. So thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate your attention. Thank you.